All right, guys. Well, it's been a little bit. I've been gone for a little bit. And I thought we would celebrate my return. It hasn't been that long. But I thought we would celebrate my return with a special video, a longer video, where we look at a bunch of knives that have been lost to time, forgotten and overlooked knives. So I've got 12 of them set out. Let's not waste any more time. Let's turn this around and get started. Well, guys, this is going to be a fun one. We're going to look at these 12 knives because they've kind of gotten forgotten. And we're going to start with one of the first high-end knives I ever purchased. And it's the Reate Knives Horizon D. Now, mine is in carbon fiber and titanium. Now, Reate has become a juggernaut in the knife industry. They do OEM for people. They have some of the best production knives on the market. Really, when you want to talk about like affordable, super high-end knives. This is one of the first knives I ever got that showed me that production knives could be almost as good as custom knives. Now, this one is done in M390, titanium, and carbon fiber. And I got this back in 2015. It was when this was a pre-order. It was the first run of the carbon fiber and titanium ones. And this has just been, I mean, it's been a top-notch performer since I had it. But the thing is, they stopped making these for a while. I do know they have some of them now. I paid $400 for this. I think they're almost $700 now. Don't quote me on that. But this is just an incredible knife and always has been. And until recently, this was the best production knife I had ever purchased. This thing is just not just gorgeous, but in hand, it's really, really comfortable. It is a very good performing knife. M390 on this, the heat treat is just perfect. The action on it is stellar. It is a flipper with a big flipper tab on it that drops into a finger guard. Over the years, I've not ever had anything negative really to say about this knife. This thing has gotten so much pocket time over the years. The stone wash they did on it has held up really well, the scratch pattern and everything. So scratches and stuff like that. It's just a really great overall knife. And then the lines of it are just about perfect. You've got all these lines that carry in from the handle to the blade, the swept down area here off the thumb ramp. Nice drop point on that. The fact that you can reverse flick off of the fuller, it just makes it a stellar knife. And just the overall quality of the machining and everything. This was my first foray into some of the more expensive production knives and technically a high-end knife. I got this about the same time as I got my first Microtex. So yeah, just really, really super, super well done. So let's go ahead and move on to the next knife. And it's the Sharp by Design Mini Tempest. Now, this is not a knife that really was overlooked or anything. It's because there was not really very many runs of this. This was kind of a short production run of this knife. This was done by Brian Nadeau, my buddy Brian, and this thing just is a stellar knife. Nice front flipper on this. Beautiful, beautiful action on this with that specific detent nub that he uses. Does not have a detent ball. Titanium, the blue and black fat carbon fiber. And then, you know, just a beautiful knife. M390 with a satin on it. And then that swedge rolls down all the way back into the fuller on this. Some of the best jimping you're going to find on a knife out there. And it's nice and long and functional. Beautiful handle on this. It is a well done frame lock, milled pocket clip on this. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous knife coming out of... I can't remember who Brian had. I think Reate did these for Brian, but these were the OEM ones. Brian for years has been an incredible custom knife maker. You guys probably seen the Arch Nemesis folder. These were done in a clamshell design with all hidden hardware. You can see here. Basically, you got to take the pocket clip and a pivot off, and then you can open the knife up and you can get in there. Just gorgeous. All of these lines are perfectly done. The blade on it, nice functional blade. Now, this is not mine. This knife has not really ever been used very much because my buddy wants to maintain that satin. He's a collector, not as much of a user. He has user knives, but action on this is just gorgeous. That detent nub gives you a different feel than you get from a detent ball. Over travel stops built into the lock bar insert. Just gorgeous. And the fact that these scales cover up the lock bar cutout area here means in and out of pocket. It's just beautiful. I have carried one of these that was not as satin and stuff like that, and the guy didn't care about it as much. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful knife that has kind of just drifted away over time and people don't talk about it anymore. So let's move on to the next one. And it's the Oaks Works EDX Osprey. Now, I got this from Eric Oakes. This was the first one of his knives that I gotten to see, and this just really, there was only that one run, and I haven't seen anybody talking about this. This was a great, great knife. Unique shaped blade, really, really piercing, done in M390 with a hollow grind, stupid, stupid sharp. These were incredible. This is a bolster lock, so your lock is kind of covered. So same thing as with the last one. You know, you've got this area here where your G10 covers that. Nice pocket clip, reversible pocket clip with a spot for a hole, but nice backspacer on this. It is a flipper. And then Eric's knives always have this area here on the bolster that is milled. And if you look at it, you can see it's not just attractive. It's not just for patterning. It is jimping. So when you get that in a pinch grip, it's really, really comfortable. No jimping to speak of on this knife except for the flipper tab. It's done in a perfect spot on the flipper tab, so it doesn't turn into a hot spot on this. Nice finger choil on this. The hollow grind allows this slender blade to still cut really, really well because it eliminates that material, and the distance you need to thin that behind the edge is much less on a hollow. Just beautiful, beautiful work. Nice little spot on here where you've got this fuller that is like an aperture. It's not a full aperture, but you can reverse flick off of it. And then it is incredibly comfortable in hand to hold, to carry, to use. The swedge on this brings this down, because this is fairly thick blade stock, brings this down to a really piercing tip. And so between that and the hollow, up at the front, you don't lose anything, even though it's fairly thick blade stock on such a narrow knife. Just a really nice, robust outdoor style knife if you want an outdoor folder. And it's nice and light because a lot of material removal for those G10 scales that you've got there. Just really, really cool. Not as much hidden hardware on this, but the hardware that is on it is gorgeous. I've carried this a lot. As you can see, it's been stropped and used a lot. So great, great knife. Still one of my favorite ones Eric ever made. So let's move on to the next knife. All right, now this one's really special. And this one kind of has fallen by the wayside because Chris and Elliot never released this as a production knife. This is the Ferrum Forge Knife Works Master Blaster. And in my opinion, this is one of the best knives out there on the market. One of the best Wharncliffes, just one of the best overall knives. Now mine is very, very special. It was a commissioned piece by my friends Tino and Nico, the Hobbit, and Tino. They got this done as a special carve job. But the fact of the matter was that even if you got one of these knives that was heavily, heavily carved or modified, done as a maker's choice, or if you had friends that commissioned something like this for you, you got the same knife. The internals of this knife are exactly the same. It's the same titanium scales, it's the same blade, it's the same grind. The only thing that changed was how this was finished and done. And it is a gorgeous knife. One of the best Wharncliffe knives on the market because of the way it feels in hand and how it cuts, the shape of the blade, how straight that edge is. And this 20CV that they used on this was incredible, and the grind behind the edge is really good. And on top of everything else, even without all this carving, it is an attractive knife. Now they did this knife and it was an in-house build, so this was 100% made in the United States, all the parts and everything sourced. And it was a collaboration with Les George. And I remember seeing these and I wished I could have got one and this was a gift, but just everything on this is so well thought out. The way it feels in hand, the shape of the handle, or the shape of the blade, how it drops in, that forward finger choil so you can really choke up on it, being able to get way up on it and use the tip of that knife, as you can see I do. And then the fact that they did such a really good job with managing weight by using, you know, standoffs instead of backspacers, and the pocket clips on Elliot's larger knives, these ones with the 3 clips. Now this one's been modified and a little bit shortened. Some of the most comfortable and easy to use pocket clips, easy to get in and out of pocket. They are not intrusive, they're not sharp, but yet they maintain a really good in the pocket. They don't wiggle around, just the right amount of tension on this. I've always loved those. And then really, really good action with that rolling detent you get, because you have a deeper pocket for that larger detent to drop into without any of that wiggle, and just a really good action. So if you can find one of these on the secondary market, absolutely pick one up. All right, guys, let's move on to the next knife, and it's the PMP Aries. Now, I've had this for a long time. This knife kind of came and went, and not too many people got to see it because they were done in a kind of like the Ferrum Forge Knife Work ones. They were done in kind of limited production, PMP knives. This was a gift from one of my friends, one of the channel members, and this thing is great. It's an S90V in titanium. And it is an incredible knife. This thing used to get a lot of pocket time. Now that it's out, it's been out since the last time I filmed, and you guys saw this in a live feed. It's been in my pocket, but this thing is just incredible. It's got a unique shape to it that typically I didn't think I would like, but it gives itself a lot here. So you have a forward choil without having a forward choil. You've got a really comfortable grip on this because it swings up even though it thins out. It is a frame lock, reverse flick with external stop pins, which can be used, if your thumbs are strong enough, can be used to deploy the knife. They are a little bit, this has got some really stiff action. Pocket clip on this was done not as an afterthought. That's one of the things about a lot of knives. Not an afterthought. It was meant to be with the knife. It was made to be with the knife. It was designed to look like the rest of the knife. You've got this glass breaker on the back here, skull crusher with a lanyard hole in it. And even though that pocket clip is kind of big, you guys can see, it's not uncomfortable. And then the blade shape on it, this nice drop point blade with the large jimping on it. I'm not a fan of jimping. It looks good on this one, I do have to admit, but it's still functional on this one. But then this blade comes down and it's really nice. And if you don't like a sharpening choil, you don't have to worry about it, because this one was done really well without a finger choil or a sharpening choil, and it's just a gorgeous knife. I love carrying this. Easy to carry in and out of the pocket because it's got the two ceramic balls for the interface between your pants and the pocket, and it's just, like I said, just amazing looking. It looks ancient while being modern. So there you go, guys, the PMP Aries. Let's move on to the next knife. And it's the Chavez 229. Now, this is the production version of the 228, which was a mid-tech version, the Redención. But this knife doesn't get made anymore in this iteration. The new ones that keep getting made have got the Lee Williams kickstop, and they're a flipper. I don't like them. This is the original 229 that kind of went away. And he made some smaller ones, which were the Ultramar series Street, and they were small. This was the full-size 1-to-1 version of the 228, the mid-tech. And I love this. These were done by Reate. They're in titanium, M390. They are thumb stud only, and they are a big, beefy knife, but they are easy to carry. And they've got this gorgeous big pocket clip on the back of this, nice and thick. And the thing about this, if you got big hands, a thicker knife is always going to be really comfortable. I know Ramon, he's got really big hands, so it makes sense. These pocket clips, while not just adding a level of attractiveness, add a level of comfort, because it just makes the knife a little bit thicker. It's not at all uncomfortable. You would think that would add discomfort, but it doesn't. These ones were done with a combination grind of a hollow and a flat on this, which made this much more functional than the mid-tech one, which was thicker. Thumb stud action on this is great. It is a frame lock. God, this thing is beautiful. This is one of the few knives I don't use very often, because just like the Mini Tempest, I don't want to screw up the satin on this, but it is incredibly sharp. Just incredible. This one still has the factory edge on it, by the way. It's one of those few knives that I very rarely actually use. But this is something that I've wanted and wanted for years, and I finally got one as a gift. Just a beautiful knife. And the fact, like I said, you can still get these knives, but they're not in this same configuration. They do have a flipper, and I just don't find them as attractive. And it's just one of those things that I kind of wish, you kind of messed with something that really worked well, and now it's not exactly what I want. So there you go, guys. The Chavez 229 Reate production. All right, let's move on to the next knife. All right, guys, just recovered from a power outage, so I had some lunch. So this knife is the CJRB Riff, and it's not like this knife has been around for a long time. It's not like this would be a knife that you would say, oh, it's, it came out so long ago, that's why it got missed. No, it just never landed like I thought it would. I always thought this was going to be a bigger splash in the knife world than it was. And it's an amazing knife. It's a much more tactical looking design. It's done by CJRB. It's a button lock folder with a really aggressive look and cool lines to it. Super comfortable in hand. It's got a fuller that runs the full length of the blade that is your reverse flick mechanism. So you can reverse flick off of it. You've got the flipper tab itself. And the feel in hand on this thing was just incredible. Now, this one is a prototype. that had come out and was given to me at a knife show, but I had several versions of this knife. The micarta on it is done beautifully. The weight reduction that they did on this makes it super comfortable because of how much material you've got here that is not steel. It's lighter than most of your titanium knives. It's got a jimped spine, but then you've got that really cool, aggressive blade shape to it. The flipper tab kind of just molds right into it, and you've got this swell here that is really comfortable. The micarta on it is not too smooth, and it's a beautifully done button lock. Oh, sorry, I hit the flipper tab with my finger. Yeah, so you've got multiple ways to deploy. You've got the reverse flick, you've got the flipper tab, you can push the button and release it, and it's just a great all-around knife, and I just don't know why it wasn't more popular. So this one kind of got forgotten just because people didn't buy it, and I like I said, could not figure out why. So really, really good knife. CJRB Riff. Let's move on to the next knife, and it's the Kizer Begleiter XL. Now, I don't know why these haven't been more popular. Like you see knives that are on people's channels and then you never see them again after a while, but this thing was in great knife. I had the Begleiter original size that came in, and I reviewed it, and then I had the mini that came in, I had the Tonto, but then this one, the XL, the Begleiter XL, just really hit in just the right spot for size and everything. It's an attractive blade shape, but I'm going to tell you, very, very functional knife that is, I think this thing is just at about 9 inches overall. If it's on the mat, it is. So yeah, it just doesn't feel like it's that big of a knife. It's really, really easy to use. Beautifully done micarta on this one as well. Nice weight reduction. It is a button lock, and the action on it is very, very good. You've got thumb studs on it that are really functional. The action on this one has got, I should say, about the best action I've seen on a button lock. Just the perfect amount of detent to allow for the flip, the thumb stud, the reverse flick off of the fullers. And then this has got like a unique flipper tab on it that gives it a clean line, but it is also, in lieu of a flipper tab, really good to be able to get up on. The handle shape is great. You really are locked in. You've got these big handles, and then the blade is long enough and broad enough to give you a very, very good cutting surface with a lot of flat and only a little bit of, you still have some belly, but you've got a lot of flat. Very, very versatile knife. One of my favorite knives in my collection that was a gift for my buddy Tino for my birthday. So I think these ones were the White Mountain Knives exclusive version, but if you can find one of these, absolutely recommend it. So there you go. Let's move on to the next knife, and it's the Pinkerton Knives Inversion. And the reason this one really didn't go too far and it kind of got forgotten is there were only 200. This was a 200-piece run. Now, I got mine directly from Dirk. He sent this to me for use on the channel as a gift, and so mine is number 75. They were all serialized. These things were incredible. They are a folding picol. So basically, it sits in your pocket this way, and you grab this, and it's got this incredibly good Emerson-style wave feature on this. But the cool thing was it came with multiple different things. If you didn't like this and you wanted a thumb disc, you could do that. You have the thumb disc. You could remove this ring entirely. You could flip this left and right. It has a different pocket clip with it. You can raise and lower it depending on how you want it to carry. But as a self-defense knife, it's going to come out of your pocket in this version because it's a picol, and it's just incredibly well done for that. So you've got this nice modified Wharncliffe recurve. So it's a long stretch Wharncliffe style blade with a slight recurve to it. And then this wave feature just works incredibly well. It's just about the right size, and it's attractive. It's this copper one here, brass, I can't remember. Dirk just really nailed it with this, but then it's this orange peeled titanium. The ring and everything just makes it really comfortable. Now, you can't carry it without the ring. I don't find it to be as functional. Some people can say you can carry this as an EDC. I really don't see it as something you would use for opening boxes and stuff like that, really. But it does have a flipper tab on it. But as far as a dedicated self-defense folder, with that wave feature on it, it is so fast out of pocket. I'm not going to get any footage for it. You guys have seen it in enough other videos. But then the contouring on this to put it in that grip, so comfortable. You don't have to worry about accidentally disengaging the lock because your lock is all the way over here when you've got it in this grip. So it's not like you're accidentally going to do it. So you're locked in. Just an incredibly well done knife. I love everything about it. It's one of my favorite. This is my SNK, my shitty neighborhood knife. So let's go ahead and move on to the next knife. And in the same category as the last one, it's another self-defense centric knife. This is a self-defense style knife. This is the WE Knives Incisor Karambit. And this is, in my opinion, still the best karambit on the market. I know some people like the Fox ones, some people like the Emerson ones. This one, just for me, was just about perfect. Just like the last one, great wave feature on this that you can swap back and forth, or you can take off completely. It is a frame lock in titanium, and I think this one is M3. I can't remember what the steel is on this one. I'll have to look real close. S35VN, just like the last one. Reversible pocket clip. The wave feature in and out of pocket on this one is great. And I gotta say, I know that there's a new iteration on this that I think is a button lock, if I remember correctly, but I think this was just about the best one. Really functional flipper tab on this that then gives you a finger guard if you're holding it in this grip. Really aggressive blade shape that's been done incredibly well. And it is so sharp. The way it comes out of pocket into this reverse grip, just like that other one, you're gonna yank it out of your pocket, it's gonna open like this, and now you've got this talon basically at the bottom of your hand, and it has been done really well on this blade for the cutting surface. It's nice and thin behind the edge, really aggressively curved, nice tip on this so it pierces, and then just the overall look of the knife. WE Knife Company does do some of the best work in the knife industry when it comes to how clean, consistent their milling is. It's just beautiful. Now, I did, and this is not how this came. I anodized it afterwards, but look at that pocket clip. Just a great all-around knife. And it, like I said, carry in pocket, this thing is awesome to carry. If you're into karambits, this might be one you want to try and find. Like I said, I think the new one is done through Civivi, but the WE Knives Incisor really got overlooked, and kind of a lot of people missed the boat on how good this karambit was. And it's one of the only few that has this one and the Inversion, the Dirk Pinkerton, the only ones I've ever found that have a finger hole that's big enough for my big sausage fingers to go in there. So, all right, guys, let's move on to the next knife. And it's one that I forget I have a lot of times. This is the Artisan Cutlery Mastiff. And it is a massive cleaver-style sheep's foot blade knife with a carbon fiber and titanium handle on this. And I forget I have it, and I don't carry it, but it is just an amazing knife. It does take up a lot of space in hand and in pocket, but you've got this great S35VN blade that comes down to a nice cutting profile on what is a relatively large and thick blade. In hand, incredibly comfortable. It's nice and weighted towards the front. Beautiful carbon fiber scale on this, basically scale overlay on this frame lock. Titanium on this side. Great pocket clip on this. The action on this is insane. You can reverse flick off of the fuller. And when you cut with it, it's really comfortable to cut with. You can even get way up here because you've got this really beefy broad blade that your work is really close to your hand. And so when you're cutting it, just, I don't know, it just feels so good to cut with. Nice modified sheep's foot on this, where it comes down and has these multiple angles. And you got the bilateral satin with a super fine stone wash on it. You can see I got a little bit of rust up in there. I haven't carried this in a long time, and it's not a knife that I use a lot, but it is a great knife in my opinion. Like I said, the action on it, insanely good from what is typically considered not a very high-end brand. Like, a lot of their knives are considered budget, and they're not considered as high-end production, but they can do really good work. The heat treat on this S35VN, by the way, really good. I absolutely love this knife, and I don't know why I don't carry it more, but this one definitely just didn't hit, and it didn't sell like they had hoped, and I just don't understand why. So there you go. Let's get this out of the way and move on to the last knife. All right, guys, and it is the Monterey Bay Knives Swayback. And while it is last, it is definitely not least. This is one of my favorite knives of all time. This thing is incredible. So you've got this beautiful swayback design with a Warrenclyffe blade done in ZDP 189 with a 420 jacket on it. It is a laminated blade, so it's almost a Sanmai 67 Rockwell on this ZDP 189. It is an absolute laser. Nice transition on this down behind the edge from the spine. Ray Laconico design. It's a liner lock with carbon fiber. This is one of the lightest knives you're ever going to have. It is a flipper deployment only. It does not have thumb studs, but you can, if you're lucky, get on that. I can't do it today. You can get up on this point and flip it off the flap. Beautifully done handles on this. One of the best pocket clips in the knife industry for a production pocket clip are these milled clips that they're doing over at Monterey Bay Knives. Nice titanium backspacer. This thing slams open, and then because of the way the liner is done on it, it's a nice thin liner, and there is no cutout. It just melts into your hand, and this thing is an absolute laser. I love a good Wharncliffe. This is one of the best ones out there. You can get way up on this and do some heavy cutting if you're cutting through leather, or if you need to do some like cutting through cardboard. Whatever it is you need to cut, you can definitely get up on it. And then those laminated blades are incredibly attractive. Plus they give you a cost savings. You don't have to use as much of the core material because you've got the jacket on it, and then it just looks really good. But 67 Rockwell on this. I have yet to find anything that this won't cut. It is a bit of a fingerprint magnet, guys, but flipper tab on it. Really simple flipper tab, no actual finger choil, but because of the flipper tab, you can get way up on it like this. The guys over at Monterey Bay Knives are great. I love these knives, and they are just always some of the most attractive, most functional, most well thought out knives. And the Ray Laconico designs are always ones that you just can't go wrong with. So there you go, guys. That was 12 forgotten or overlooked knives. Let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, and send you out about your day. There you go, guys. New job seems to be pretty good. I got some time off because not everything is up and running yet. So we are going to have more videos coming. I don't know about live feeds, but I thought this would be fun. Longer video. I don't want to make it take any longer, but please do support the channel by using the affiliate links down below. All of those affiliate links support the channel. They don't cost you anything at checkout. They actually support the channel. Two of them actually have discounts built into them. It's Coffee Brand Coffee in the cup right now, and Tempered Trail, some of the best laces you're ever going to get. I have an Amazon store down there. You take that, pin it to your browser, use it for all your Amazon shopping. Speaking of discounts, coupon code CrazySharp works at Ferrum Forge Knife Works. Ferrum Forge Knife Works, Rosecraft Blades, KATSU Knives, and at Otter Arms, O-T-T-E-R, like the sea otter, Otter Arms and Otter EDC. That's the pistol stands and the haptic fidget spinners. Other ways you can support, I have a membership. If you want to join the membership, you get early access to videos, exclusive content. I'm going to start doing giveaways. I've got stuff slated. I just got to figure out when I'm going to do it. And I have a Discord down below. It says join the community. You can hit me up there if you want to send me a DM. You want to put a knife on the channel, something you might not have seen. You want to see my take on it, or if you just got questions. Guys, that's it on this one. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comments section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I'll see you in the next video.